Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Moto, and if I had to go out and purchase a new motorcycle here at the start of 2026, there's a strong chance it would be this. This is the Kawasaki Versys 1100. For 2025 model year, they have upgraded the engine to be slightly larger, make a little bit more power, working with just over 130 horsepower and 80-ish pound-feet of torque. We've got some meaningful updates to the electronics package, but the core essence of the Versys stays the same. It is the bike that you might not realize that you want, but after you spend many hours in the saddle, you will realize it is a Goldilocks. So today we are going to put it through a Versys sort of ride. We're heading out here from Irvine, California. We're going to head down towards San Diego using a scenic route out through the mountains. We're going to run down and do some errands, because that's what you can do when you've got side cases and a nice comfortable bike like this. We're going to stretch that inline four a little bit, and we're going to enjoy the comfort and the power and the agility of this platform. Now, in the States, where we don't typically buy as common sense motorcycles as they do across the pond and in other parts of the world, we only get the Versys SE-LT model here. So this one, as you're looking at it, don't gasp, is about $20,000. But I've had it in the stable over the last few months with BMWs, with Hondas, and I can say that this is the one that I look forward to riding the most, outside of maybe the BMW 1300 RT that we had, but that one was a full-on touring bike and cost $30,000. So this one at about $20,000 after destination, giving you heated hand grips, the luggage, the adjustable windscreen, 6-axis IMU, larger brakes, electronically adaptive suspension. It has all the goodies to justify its price. So without any more yapping, let's get on and let the inline four tell its tale. I'm wearing my Helite leather jacket today as part of our gear check. We also got my Arai Contour X, not the Corsair, the Contour X on. And right there we see one of my favorite things about the Versys. They give us an analog tachometer. You know how many motorcycles I get on these days to review, and they've got some god-awful, ugly digital tachometer? We were on the BMW R12 9T. Beautiful motorcycle, supposed to be heritage and everything, and yet we've got this big ugly tack right in the center. I'm like, really? That's what you guys think is appropriate for a bike like this? Now this is what I want in a sport touring motorcycle. I want sport and I want touring. That's what we got. 5.5 gallon fuel tank on here, and it lasts quite a while. We've been getting 39.2 mpg over our riding up into LA last week to try out the new Honda Rebel 300. Rode this bike up there. I also did cover the Versys here with our DM Commuter fuel economy test and daily rider test. It did admirably. I think it was 46-ish. Pretty darn good number for these side cases and tall windshield. And if you're in an area where you can legally lane filter, it's a little bit wider, but still doable. About 570 pounds without the side cases ready to ride, so we're probably looking at just under 600. It's a good weight for a sport touring bike, because you don't want it to be so light that you get blown around, but you don't want it to be so heavy that you can't have fun. Now I will say, while I appreciate Kawasaki's adjustable windscreen, me sitting here at 5'10", 32-inch inseam, the wind does hit me probably right near the top of my helmet, which results in fairly loud turbulent air. So it's certainly one of those bikes that if I'm riding highway, I like to have earplugs in, because other than that, it covers the wind nicely. And we have cruise control, so we can pop this button, get a very subtle cruise control active light over there, and then hit set. To see what the maximum speed is you can set for the cruise control. 85 seems to be the top level for our cruise control. See, if I come just down here, then it's virtually silent on this bike. So I would, if I were going to do really long cruising, I might want to put something like a laminar tip on the top of this, because right under here and actually looking through the windscreen, don't hear any air, but right here I start to get it. We do have heated grips here on the Versys, but we also have these, it kind of look like bark busters for an off-road bike, but you're not really going to be taking this off-road, so it's more just to block wind. It's a remarkably nice job. Even here, what is it outside? 66 degrees Fahrenheit, fairly thin gloves on. Most bikes without these, I'd probably want to have the hand warmers on, but just blocking the wind really nicely, keeping my hands comfy. We've got a fun route today. We're heading down the 5 here. We're going to go out through Ortega Highway, down toward Palomar Mountain, swing up around there, then come down into Santee, I think is where we're going to end up. And then depending on timing, might just take the 5 freeway back home. This is going to be fun and exciting. We are following a Ducati up into Ortega Highway. So we'll really get to see what the Versys 1100 is capable of. But I mentioned earlier that we have adjustable suspension on the Fly that'll adjust preload automatically for the type of weight that you've got on the motorcycle. If it's just a single rider like we have today, we have that set. But if you throw a pillion on the back, then you can have the suspension adjust for that, or have pillion in gear, or just you in gear. So the bike will automatically compensate for that. Well, not automatically, you can tell it to compensate for that electrically. We also have a number of ride modes. I have a feeling we'll be shifting up into sport here shortly. We're mostly in road right now. And of course we got the Kawasaki quick shifter, which means above 1500 RPM and between any gears you can just flap the shifter and shift away. No clutch needed. Ah! Now, a lot of people think of inline 4s for sport bikes, and I totally get that. But I actually think the inline 4 makes a ton of sense here on a touring motorcycle as well. We had the R1300 RT from BMW, and it had the Boxer Twin. And the motor, it makes power in all the right places, but it doesn't really sound great, and the vibration is unwelcome at a lot of speeds, especially when you're touring. This motor makes good vibrations when you're revving it up and having fun like this, but then when you settle down in 6th gear and cruise, you don't feel it at all. It actually made 5th and 6th gear about 7% taller for the 1100 model here, which means when you're up in 6 like this, you've been doing about 80 miles per hour, we're only down around 5,000 RPM. So again, barely feel that engine working. Very smooth for cruising. But then dial up into 4th, or down into 4th I should say. You come out of a corner and just really feel that pull of the red line. Now it's certainly not the level of shove that you get from some of those hyper tours, like something like the what is KTM's, the Super Adventure. But in a way, I almost kind of like it because you get to feel the full rev range and the reward of coming out into a straightaway and dropping a few gears and stretching the legs of this bike. It's not something where you just gotta point it and pray the way you do with some of those 200-ish kind of horsepower bikes. That was like the BMW M1000 XR that we took on a similar ride to this. I mean, that bike, even up at these speeds, you twist it and you're getting shoved back to the back of the seat. And it's cool, it's a cool novelty, but it's not something that I need in my daily riding. 17-inch wheels on the Versys, helping to give it a little bit of that sporty agility in the sport touring name. Handlebars are a little wide for kind of doing this sportier riding. It starts to feel like, oh, I got my armpits out a little bit. Can't really tuck down into it like you might be wanting to if you were coming off a sportier bike, but yeah, that's what the Ninja 1100 exists for, right? Crisp, quick shift, downshift there. Of course, we got wheelie control, we got traction control, we've got 6-axis IMU, which means the ABS and all of those different electronic aids are helping so that if I were to map brakes while leaned down in a corner, it's going to respond differently than if I did so straight up and down on a straightaway. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the Ducati might be getting away from us today. Oh, but what do you know? Traffic brings us all right back together. See, this is the beauty of a sport touring motorcycle. The fact that you could ride this thing for hours and hours and hours and go through different climates and be warm or cool or whatever you need, comfortable. And then you get out onto a beautiful road like this, you dial it up. Now, admittedly, because of the ergos and the weight, I'm not thrilled. There's our little rev flash there. I'm not thrilled from a kind of engaged riding perspective. I do kind of feel like I'm pulling a four-door car through here if we compare it to the car world. But that doesn't mean I'm not having fun. It's just not thrilling like a sport bike would be, which should be obvious to you, but just stating. That being said, I had the Hayabusa up here a few years ago, and that bike's not that much lighter. I feel like the numbers are pretty similar, and that bike was a little bit of a work through here as well. So, I mean, it's mostly just a weight situation. Do have larger brakes with the 1100. And they do feel nice. It's not often you got to squeeze them very hard. I mean, you got to think they're built to slow this bike down even with passenger and gear. So when you're just out here on your own, not very laden, there's a ton of braking force. Good lean angle here. I'll have to check our stats afterward. But I'm just about getting that peg down. Alright, you think we've humbled this Ducati enough yet? 49 degrees left and 46 degrees right of lead. So that's pretty good for a touring bike, no? I'd say it's pretty good for any bike. The gearing is a little tall for these tighter corners. There's definitely times where it seems like I'd want to be all the way down in first gear, but riding in first gear seems silly. I mean, I guess I could. There's a downshift into first. I guess you could mess around in first gear, or you could just be a little more patient and stay in second. Man, is that engine just happy to be up there. No problem cruising around at 10,000 RPM. They did a good job with the seat as well, because it is comfortable for all-day riding, but it doesn't restrict your movement. It's certainly wider than a sport bike seat. You kind of have to deliberately lift yourself and move yourself around to kind of get into the corners, but it's not restricting it. Just look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Cresting 3 hours in the saddle, aside from a few quick stops for photo and pie out at Julian Pie Co. If you know, you know. And I am by no means ready to get off the bike. I'm still comfortable, seat is good, ergos are good, I'm having fun. I mean, this is the beauty of sport touring riding, is getting out to some of these amazing roads and enjoying them. Listening to a fantastic engine like this scream up to just over 10,000 RPM, and then once you get stuck behind traffic, cruise, settle in, turn your music on, which you can control through the controls here and the center screen. You can adjust your Bluetooth, and just again enjoy the other aspects of riding: the sightseeing, the weather, the air, the solitude. And that's where the Versys 1100 has impressed me so much. It's a bike that you genuinely can be on all day, put on huge miles, and still be satisfied and comfortable. You've got charging, you've got heat, you've got ventilation, you've got media. But then you can also get it out here into some of these roads and still enjoy it in a lot more of a raw experience than so many other sport touring motorcycles. I don't have some big screen in front of me with a digital tachometer. I don't have a bunch of different ride modes and special electronics coming in. Now, I do actually have a few ride modes and electronics, but it doesn't feel like I'm riding a computer. It still feels like I'm riding a sporty bike. I mean, that's not a refined experience. Having at least some degree of rawness on a machine here in 2025 while still getting comfort, that is what I've appreciated about this bike. And that's why I would be so tempted to own one of these, is it covers the Venn diagram of motorcycling better than a lot of other bikes out there. I've had a ton of fun running these canyon roads on the way down here to Santee, coming through sort of the eastern side, but I'm also not lamenting the ride back, which I'm probably just going to do up the 5 freeway along the coast. It truly can do both. And not only that, but I've had the side cases on the back, so I've got water back there, I've got some extra gear, and I have these shock covers that I'm returning back here to Agile Off-Road. It's I really am happy with it. It's a great bike. And I'm gonna be sad to give it up. It's been a bike that I've used multiple times for running into LA from Orange County, and it's a bike that I've taken out to do sporty riding too. There's also an excellence of execution that I've experienced with this bike, that nothing has jumped out as feeling wrong. All of the riding, all of the shifting, the tech suite, it's all made sense. The side cases work well. The suspension tuning is right. The throttle tuning is right. The brake tuning is right. There's almost always something about a bike that you can kind of nitpick and get frustrated by. It's very tough to come up with frustrations here with the Versys 1100. And I suppose the biggest downside to it is there is a little bit of a loss of character when a bike excels this well. And for some people that's a total non-issue, but some of you might know what I mean of, okay, when the bike is so good, it's almost worse because it's better. But it's not quite there for this one. I really have enjoyed it. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, the Kawasaki Versys 1100 SE-LT. Yes, it is an expensive bike, but I think Kawasaki nailed it. I think this is a mature and perfect blend between sensible and thrilling machine on two wheels, and you would be foolish to overlook it just because it's a Kawasaki. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Versys 1100, check the link below. We've got our daily rider coverage, and we've got a winding road no talking ride as well. And I might add some extra thoughts in here once I get back up home if anything else crosses my mind, but I'm pretty sold on this one. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Moto, and as always, ride on.